Pikachu. Everyone knows who Pikachu is. He's one of the most well-known Pokemon in existence and pretty much one of the most well-known characters of anything. You'd have a hard time finding someone who doesn't recognize Pikachu. A lot of people love him and he's incredibly popular. Nobody's making Detective Silcoon. It's all about Pikachu. But for every 10 people out there who love Pikachu, there's one who's not particularly a fan. Luckily for them, Game Freak has prepared a whole plethora of other electric rodents for them to pick from. Could these be more to their liking? Well, probably not. They're pretty samey. Some of these are interesting additions, but others feel like they're just milking a popular Pokemon for all it's worth. Let's take a look at them. Pikachu and the Pikachu clones. So what makes a Pikachu clone? Well, they share 4 different traits. First, they're all electric-type Pokemon. Second, they're all based on some kind of rodent or other small, similar kind of animal. Third, they tend to use their Japanese name in most other languages, with only Plusle having a minor localized difference. Last, and by far the most identifiable trait they share, are the presence of small circles on their cheeks. These cheeks contain pouches that store electricity, and they're the best way to know you're looking at a Pikachu clone. And I know, there are some other Pikachu-like Pokemon out there that don't follow all of these rules, but I won't be looking at those today. We're strictly sticking to the most Pikachu-like, so there's no better place to start than with Pikachu itself. Pikachu.
Pikachu!
The mouse Pokemon. Pikachu is a small yellow rodent with black-tipped ears, round red cheeks, and a bolt-shaped tail. Or if you're looking at a female Pikachu, a heart-shaped tail. The name Pikachu comes from the word pika pika, which means to shine or sparkle in Japanese, as well as choo-choo, which are the squeaking noises mice make. Pikachu store electricity in the pouches in their cheeks. If their electricity is strong, their cheeks will end up very soft and stretchy. They can discharge this electricity at any time, for self-defense, when they get upset, when they're analyzing something they're unfamiliar with, to recharge other weak Pikachu, or even to cook and tenderize hard berries. Their shocks are so strong, they've even been looked into for running power plants. They generate more electricity as they sleep, so if they're not getting enough rest, their electrical power will be very weak. Pikachu like to live in forests away from civilization, often causing dangerous lightning storms when they gather together. When 2 of them meet, they'll touch their tails together as a friendly greeting. They raise their tails up to check on their surroundings and frequently get struck by lightning when doing so. And if you grab their tails, they'll bite you. Now, I've never been one of those die-hard Pikachu fans, but I've gotta give it up for Pikachu's design. Pikachu's design is so strong, it's one of the biggest reasons why Pokemon is still a success today. This is one of the most iconic characters of all time. Black and yellow is a really attractive color combination, and the balance of simple yet recognizable features is perfect and very memorable. As simple as it is, a great deal of emotion comes through too, and Pikachu has really well-expressed personalities. This is one of the standout Pokemon designs and a great face of the Pokemon franchise. He's really cute, and he has a lot of heart. I wouldn't say he's a particularly me Pokemon, but I appreciate him, and like him now more than I ever have. Pikachu's design has also changed quite a bit over time. He used to be pretty chunky and boxy, but he's transformed into a much more agile creature. The original one was cute in its own way, but I think the change was necessary so Pikachu could appeal to more people. Shiny Pokemon are highly rare versions of Pokemon with different colorations. Some of them can vary greatly from their original color palettes, while others, not so much. Shiny Pikachu drops the traditional yellow for a rather stained-looking orange. Actually, this shiny is often used as an example for underwhelming and frankly weak shiny variants. Shiny Pokemon would ideally be carefully considered reimaginings of a Pokemon's color palette, leading to some attractive and inspired choices. Unfortunately, a lot of earlier generation Pokemon suffered from the Game Boy Color limitations, leaving many with hardly different colored shinies, as well as plenty with just plain unattractive colorations. I'd appreciate it if they went back and changed some of the older shiny Pokemon to have more thoughtful colorations. They have done this before, but it's been so long it's unlikely they'll bother at this point. Shiny Pikachu looks okay. Kinda nice, but kind of not nice. Oh boy, Generation 8 introduced Gigantamax. A special state certain Pokemon can take where they grow to an immense size while changing their appearance. And I can't say I am much of a fan of this one. Not only is this not an interesting idea in the first place, but I think most of these Gigantamax forms look pretty bad. The designs are just really uninspired, and I find the whole mechanic really forced. Game Freak was clearly grasping for ideas, and I think they settled on a really weak one. Pikachu's Gigantamax form harkens back to his original look, and it's one of the better ones. It's not tremendously interesting, but the large lightning rod tail is kinda cool, and I'd be lying if I said it wasn't cute. It's just really basic. It doesn't really bring much to the table, but you could certainly do worse than this for Gigantamax. And then we have Cosplay Pikachu, which is Pikachu cosplaying. These were used in contests to dress up your Pikachu in special little outfits. And I'm gonna keep these brief. Rockstar Pikachu is alright. I kinda like the colors of the outfit. Pikachu Bell is so stupid. Pikachu Popstar is your typical cutesy look, but the pink does play off the yellow pretty nicely. Pikachu PhD is pretty funny and gives Pikachu kind of a unique personality. The wrestling girl Pikachu Libre is by far the favorite of the bunch, even appearing in Pokken Tournament and Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. I'm not really a wrestling fan, but I actually really dig her design. And then we have these Pikachus. These exist. These were a pretty bland way to fill out some in-game events. I've never been a fan of when the show has crossed over into the video games, but he does look pretty cute with the hat on. Some of the hats look stupid, some of the hats look cute. It's clear they don't really know how to design hats in the anime. I'd say the original probably looks the best. Cute, but pointless. And that's Pikachu. Not surprised to see it have gotten so much attention in the 20 plus years of it running this franchise. But he's an icon, and he's earned it. And now, before we move on to the Pikachu clones, we're going to take a look at Pikachu's family. When a Pikachu is exposed to a lustrous thunderstone, it evolves into Raichu, the mouse Pokemon. Although Pikachu is the mascot of the Pokemon series, Raichu is not seen to anywhere near the same degree in media. Raichu is a fair bit bigger than Pikachu and has a much longer, wiry tail. Rai comes from the Japanese word for thunder, and choo-choo are the squeaking noises mice make. Raichu are very energetic when they're full of electricity, and they use their tails to discharge the excess energy into the ground. Their electricity can reach up to 100,000 volts, so their trainers, animals, and even themselves have to be wary of being electrocuted. Raichu will also often give off a soft glow in the dark. If they run out of electrical power, they'll raise their tails to collect any they can find in the atmosphere. And, surprisingly, Raichu are not all that commonly seen because many trainers are so attached to Pikachu they don't want to evolve it. Which is crazy to me. As much as I praised Pikachu, I wouldn't give evolving it a second thought. Raichu is so cool. I love how they evolved Pikachu's design here. Those adorable, fancy little ears, the larger, more extended feet like a kangaroo rat, and of course, the sharp, lightning bolt tail coming off of that whip-like electrical cord makes for a really sleek design. I mean, I can't say I've ever heard anyone describe Raichu as sleek before. Raichu iterates on Pikachu's design in all the right ways, and isn't that just the best direction for an evolution to go? Like Pikachu, shiny Raichu also adopts an orange coloration, though I'd have to say Raichu wears it much better. When a Pikachu evolves in the Alola region, it becomes an Alolan Raichu, a special variant of Raichu that only occurs in that region. Besides the visual changes, this Raichu adopts the Psychic type, making it the first and so far only Electric Psychic type Pokemon. Different from the original, Alolan Raichu is much rounder and smoothed out. It's even able to ride its own tail with its newfound psychokinetic powers. These kinds of Raichu all love a very specific pancake recipe native to the Alolan region. In fact, it seems that this recipe is the reason for the alternate evolution altogether. Okay, if you rub an Alolan Raichu's cheeks, they'll release a sweet smell. Some people even call this Pokemon a Hodad, which means a non-surfer who frequents surfing beaches pretending to be a surfer. I guess that makes sense. I've never actually seen an Alolan Raichu get wet, but look at him. He loves his little air surfing. He's surfing in his own way and I believe in him. That bit about the pancakes, though. I can accept eating pancakes as changing Raichu's physicality, but why the hell does it give him psychic powers all of a sudden? Is there something about pancakes I don't know? Regardless, the electric psychic typing, as random as it is, enhances the basic Raichu design with some really fun ideas. And I mean, just look at him. He's adorable. That happy little face he has on all the time and those cute little rounded limbs and ears, this is heart-melting cuteness, and it's such an appealing design. As much as I gushed on the standard Raichu, I've gotta give the edge to the Alolan variant. The changes in creativity knock this Pokemon up a notch, and I can confidently say this is one of my favorite electric-type Pokemon. Regional variants can be a really clever and interesting way to change up a Pokemon, and this is an exceptional example of that. Shiny Alolan Raichu is a pretty dark brown, almost like it got a tan on the beach. The yellow is now more of a gold, making for a really attractive contrast. And now that we've seen what Pikachu evolves into, let's go back and take a look at what Pikachu evolves from. Baby Pokemon were introduced in Generation 2, with the most well-known of these being Pichu, the tiny mouse Pokemon, and pre-evolution of Pikachu. Like many other baby Pokemon, Pichu has a very minimalist design. A round face, small tail, and large ears, Pichu is immediately identifiable as a baby Pikachu. A Pichu will evolve when it feels true happiness and friendship for its trainer, which is honestly a pain in the ass to do most of the time. Pichu's name is just a shortened version of Pikachu. Being so young, Pichus are poor at keeping their electricity under control, often discharging in response to many sudden emotions like being surprised or amused. They'll even accidentally shock their trainers, and even though they're small, they still pack quite a punch. Pichus are better at storing electricity during thunderstorms or in dry air, though they can't store very much. As they mature, they'll grow more proficient at storing their energy. Pichu that play together can easily set off sparks and start to cry, but sometimes they'll touch their tails together while releasing sparks as some kind of test of their courage. Pichu excels at what he was clearly meant to excel at, being cute. His design really does feel like a watered-down version of its evolution, which to be fair is a common thing baby Pokemon suffer from. And Pichu is one of the most obvious examples of that, but maybe Pichu shows that cuteness might be all it takes. It's worth highlighting the ears, which have a really attractive shape and use a nice amount of black. He's just not very interesting, another trait a lot of baby Pokemon share. There used to be a spiky-eared Pichu, which looked a lot like the basic one, but with 2 extra notches on one of the ears. I'm a fan of asymmetrical design, and it's a shame it's not obtainable in the games anymore. But maybe I can play as him elsewhere. Shiny Pichu is... Wait, where's the shiny? That is Shiny Pichu? Okay, so these are a great example of what I was saying earlier. I wouldn't even be able to tell the shiny apart if they weren't standing right next to each other, so this is a solid thumbs down. And that's the Pikachu family. It's a very solid evolutionary line. After reviewing them, I'm surprised at just how much I appreciate their designs. This is a really great group of Pokemon. But now we're going to start digging into the actual Pikachu clones of the other 6 generations, and see just how different the reimaginings of the Pikachu concept have been over the years. Generation 3 did not hold back and gave us 2 Pikachu clones right off, Plusle and Minun, the cheering Pokemon. Although they are 2 separate Pokemon and not related by evolution, they're deliberately connected by their theme. While they're both electric-type Pokemon, Plusle expels positive electrical charges, while Minun expels negative ones. This is easily identifiable by their plus and minus-shaped tails and cheeks. Plus and minus is also where they get their names from. Plusle and Minun love cheering their partners on in battle, sometimes even neglecting their own safety to do so. They discharge electricity from all over their body, even making pom-pom-like sparks with their hands. They'll release more sparks if their partner is struggling, and will even cry if they lose. Exposure to both Plusle and Minun's electricity simultaneously will cause excellent effects on the body, including muscle relaxation, improved blood circulation, and it will even boost your overall vitality. They get their electricity from telephone poles, while being wary of the rain. In fact, they dislike water so much, they'll go out of their way to avoid it. Can't say I see a lot of love for Plusle Minun, and admit they feel pretty redundant. They're definitely the most Pikachu-like of all of the Pikachu clones. They were primarily conceived to help promote the new form of battling, double battles, which makes a lot of sense considering their cheering themes, but that does label them with a gimmick which not everyone's going to appreciate. Similar to Pichu, they're just really good at being cute. It's fun that they cheer their partners on. And the plus and minus theming feels a little inspired. It's not just every electric Pokemon ever electricity. The red and blue play nicely on the yellow, but that cuteness though, look at it. It's hard to choose one over the other, but the blue contrasts a lot better with the yellow. Although I do like that plus tail. Did I mention they were cute? It's understandable why some people might not see them as little more than a gimmick, but they're harmless. Shiny Plusle is... oh come on, really? And Shiny Minun is actually a pretty nice little light green. It's a cute color and it looks good on him. Generation 4 introduced Pachirisu, the Ella Squirrel Pokemon. Finally breaking away from the more traditional Pikachu aesthetics, Pachirisu is a white and blue squirrel with a large fluffy tail. The rather awkward name comes from the word pachi, which means electric crackling in Japanese, and risu, which means squirrel in Japanese. Typical of squirrels, Pachirisu live in the treetops. Two of them can often be seen rubbing their cheeks together to share their electricity, which they discharge from their big bushy tails. They also create balls of fur that crackle with static electricity, and they like to store these with their berries in their home. Probably the most notable thing about Pachirisu is how unremarkable it is. It's a squirrel that does squirrel things. What do you want? As a Pikachu clone, the palette change is pretty refreshing. White and blue look great together, and Pachirisu looks like he'd be right at home in the snow. This won't be surprising, but he's also really good at being cute. And it seems like that's starting to be the #1 reason to appreciate the Pikachu clones. Pachirisu is another example of a very simple yet effective design. There's just the right amount of features and colors that make something very identifiable and memorable. I know it's tradition to use the Japanese names in other languages, but this one's a bit of a mouthful. It's far from an elegant thing to say, and new players can never remember it. Shiny Pachirisu is pink instead of blue, and it actually looks really nice. So these Pikachu clones are probably starting to blend together. Luckily, Generation 5 is where they really started to change things up. Emolga, the Sky Squirrel Pokemon. Electric Flying is a rather uncommon type combination, but it's paired perfectly in a Flying Squirrel Pikachu clone. While mostly white, Emolga has large yellow membranes and a huge storm cloud-like tail. Emolga's name comes from Imon, which means drapery or clothing in Japanese, as well as Momonga, which is the scientific name of the Japanese dwarf flying squirrel. Emolga live in treetops, gliding around using their cape-like membranes. The electricity they generate in their cheeks is released through these membranes, discharging as they glide around, shocking anyone and anything indiscriminately. Bird Pokemon keep an eye out for them, often forfeiting up food to keep their distance. Emolgas will also use their charges to cook food, such as berries and bug Pokemon. During thunderstorms, groups of Emolga enthusiastically take to the skies to enjoy the stormy weather. It's exciting to see the different ideas that come out of dual-type Pokemon. Emolga did a better job of standing out among the other Pikachu clones because it was the first that wasn't just a plain old electric type. Everybody has their favorite and least favorite Pikachu clone, and for me, I would have to say Emolga falls a little on the least favorite side. Don't get me wrong, it's freaking adorable. Flying has always been my least favorite type, so that's not doing him any favors. Maybe I'm being too harsh on him. He is really cute. He's got a clean design, and it's adorable that it looks like he's wearing a little black hood. The Stormcloud tail looks cool, and since his arms are always spread, it looks like he always wants a hug. You know what? I take what I said back. He's one of the best ones. Shiny Emolga is a very fancy looking bronze. It looks really nice on him. I'm very happy to see them branching out more with Pikachu clones, and thankfully that's a trend that sticks. Generation 6 gives us another dual-type Pikachu clone, Dedenne, the Antenna Pokemon. Unlike Emolga, this is one of the most unfitting, forced type combinations in the franchise. Electric Fairy? Why? Because it's small? Whatever. Dedenne is a round orange chub, with a unique tail and whiskers. Dedenne's name comes from Denki, which means electricity in Japanese, and antenne, which is the French word for antenna. Yeah, Gen 6 was based on France. Dedenne whiskers work like antennae, allowing them to send and receive electrical currents to communicate with others over long distances. The lower whiskers shoot electricity while the upper ones work like sensors to monitor their surroundings. Dedenne use their long tails to absorb electricity from power plants and wall outlets. So if you have a high electric bill, you might want to look out for Dedenne. Really though, what's with the fairy type? I think I know why Game Freak did this, but it still feels pretty forced. Sometimes fairies are expressed as mischievous little things that like to screw with people. And while I like those kinds of traits, I wouldn't say Dedenne stealing electricity from wall outlets is enough to really warrant a whole fairy typing. There are plenty of Pokemon that cause mischief that aren't fairies after all, and there's just nothing visually fairy-like about Dedenne. This was clearly done just to promote the fairy type more in its debut generation. For its design, Dedenne is just a small chubby Raichu. That is to say, it's cute, really cute, little fat gerbil cute. I also love the design of its whiskers and tail. They're simple, but they convey its traits really well, something the designers are experts at. It has webbed feet? This is the one that I would say feels like the most unnecessary Pikachu clone. At least it's cute, and even though the fairy type feels very random, it does help Dedenne stand out a lot more. Shiny Dedenne is brown, as we've been seeing most of these go, and it looks great. The brown, yellow, and black is a really nice combination. Togedemaru, the roly-poly Pokemon and also number 777. Continuing the dual-type trend, Togedemaru is an electric steel type. They have a round, gray body covered in pointy spikes. The name mustn't have taken long. Toga means spike in Japanese, while Maru means round in Japanese. Isn't that straight and to the point? Togedemaru have 14 fur spikes on their back. They stand up and stab others when they feel threatened, shocked, or angry. These long hairs also function as lightning rods, which Togedemaru rely on to collect and store electricity. They're not proficient at generating their own charges, and mostly rely on lightning strikes to stay energized. I hope these guys aren't constantly out of energy. I imagine you'd have to live in a rather specific place to be able to intercept lightning strikes all the time. Of all the Pikachu clones we've covered, Togedemaru is the most distinct. His color palette and various characteristics help him stand out really well. He's cute like the rest of them, but he's not trying to beat you over the head with it. The roundness actually works well on him, especially with his little smile and ears. He just looks like a sweet little guy to have on your journey. He makes very endearing expressions. Though, like Pachirisu, I don't care much for his name, and wish it was just a little more flowing. Togedemaru was showcased in the games more than most of the other Pikachu clones, and I think that's had a positive effect on his reception by the fanbase. Shiny Togedemaru is not that different. I mean, I can make out the shade this time, but it's not very interesting. By the time Togedemaru came out, the Pikachu clones were mostly looked at as just another thing to expect every generation, but he did a better job garnering attention than the rest. That is, until Generation 8. The last Pikachu clone is Morpeko, the two-sided Pokemon. Morpeko is the first and currently only electric dark type Pokemon, but that's not the only reason he stands out. Morpeko is the first Pikachu clone to have two different forms. A pretty typical looking full belly mode where Morpeko is hungry but content, and a purple hangry mode where Morpeko has passed the point of famished and is not happy about it. He's also the first Pika clone to not have a tail. Well, a traditional one at least, unless it got crushed into its back. Morpeko's name is derived from harapiko, which means having a strong appetite in Japanese. Morpeko generate electricity in their cheeks, but doing so uses a lot of energy, which causes them to always be hungry. They'll carry around berry seeds to try to satiate their hunger, and are pretty protective of them because of it. If Morpeko goes hungry for an extended amount of time, their hormones will alter, changing its appearance and behavior to become more aggressive and, well, hangry. Even the electric type energy in their cheeks will change to a dark type energy. Sounds pretty miserable to live as this thing, huh? It's always hungry, even in full belly mode. I guess you'd get used to it, but dang, some Pokemon live pretty unfortunate lives. Appearance-wise, Morpeko is very appealing. I prefer full belly mode. He's just so cute with his one tooth and, aw, look at his little hamster wheel move. Hangry mode looks pretty good too, and effectively reflects its mood change. Two distinct personalities in one give Morpeko a strong chance of appealing to most people. I would confidently say Morpeko is one of the more popular Pikachu clones. To be fair, he is the newest of them, and that does give him a leg up on the rest. But new or not, Morpeko has a sharp design, and feels fully realized. Shiny Morpeko is great, the white looks really cool in place of the yellow. The Hangry mode is much less different, but still looks cool. After delving into the Pikachu clones, they're far more distinct than they first appear. They all have their own traits and behaviors, and it's easy to see why someone would like one over the other. My favorite Pikachu clone is Morpeko, followed by Plusle Minun, but all of them are appealing in their own way. Of all the Pokemon we discussed today, Raichu and its Alolan variant will be added to the board of my favorite Pokemon. Let's see how much we can fill this thing up. I don't think it's necessary to keep making Pikachu clones, but if Game Freak is insistent on churning these out every gen, then they best continue to try new things with the concept. It's very understandable why many see them as unnecessary retreads. But remember, cute Pokemon are cute, and every Pokemon is someone's favorite. Which Pikachu clone is your favorite? Thanks for watching, and see you next time for more Pokemon reviews.